Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I am so excited, I'm fucking excited, I'm going to be interviewing a legend in the world of Bay Area public access television. I watched her back in the 2000s, and oh my god, she's so awesome. Heatherly Stankey. She is the star co-star of Fantasy Bedtime Hour, this crazy show where where these two naked girls are in bed and they're analyzing Stephen Donaldson's book. I can't remember offhand what it's called at the moment, but we will talk about it today, and we'll talk about the show. It was a really crazy show. There was always like horror and sci-fi sketches in between, seeing the two of them in bed and stuff, and sometimes the third person would get in the middle of them and everything. It was a crazy cable access show in the Bay Area, and I'm going to be talking to her today about that, and I can't wait. So here's my interview with Heatherly Stankey. Hey Heatherly, welcome to the show.
Hi.
It's such an honor. Thank you so much for taking the time. I'm glad I found you on Facebook.
Well, I'm really honored too. I think this is going to be fun.
Absolutely. First off, is Heatherly Stankey your real name?
Yes.
Wow. I didn't know whether or not if it was a stage name or not.
Oh, I know. It was not the funnest thing in the world growing up with Stankey as a last name, but I think it gave me character.
Uh-huh. Yeah, they probably made fun of you and say that you stink and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. I heard a lot of Stinky. Yeah.
Oh, that's
but
terrible.
Luckily, I had a pretty cool kindergarten teacher. Like, one of them was pretty cool. She kind of, made the other kids stop. So I didn't have to hear it too much growing up.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. It's great when you have teachers that are on your side.
Yeah.
So, you're originally from Oregon?
Yes.
Did you know at an early age that you wanted to be in front of the camera?
No, it didn't really occur to me that way. It was more, I think when I got older, as a teenager, I did some high school theater.
Mm-hmm.
And a little bit of theater in college. The college is where I met Julie. And then for fun, on occasion, we would film little short movies, little 10-minute movies with just us and our friends, just to entertain ourselves with. This was the 90s, so there wasn't any film festivals or anything ambitious. We just would film things together to really have a good laugh. And so it that planted the seed that you could film something and have a good time.
Right. Yeah, this is pre-internet and all that.
Yeah.
So what did you want to be when you were growing up?
For a long time, I wanted to be a veterinarian, probably like a lot of other kids.
Mm-hmm. You love animals and all that?
Yeah, I do like animals.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, a lot of people I know love animals, and I certainly do. I'm a dog person, big time.
Yeah, I like cats and dogs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like both.
I love cats.
Yeah.
So how did you meet Julie?
Well, I met her in the dormitory. We lived in the same dorm at University of Oregon, and so one of the first times I met her was I was passing through our lobby of our dorm, and she and her boyfriend at the time had deconstructed all the furniture and made a big furniture fort out of it. And I came through and I was like, "Hey, nice fort," and I was sincere about it. And she was like, "Okay, this is somebody that she could hang with because of how just her being creative."
Yeah. So did either of you do improv or theater in school? Because both of you have comedic chops, and you both remind me of a comedy team like Kathy and the Jimmy and Mo Gaffney when they used to do those 2-woman shows on HBO.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think part of it is just a sense of humor. Our sense of humor just really, really clicked. And I think I think, a lot of people can be funny, and a lot of people sometimes sit around and maybe, think of things, oh, wouldn't it be funny if, but she and I always try to take it to that next level, because if you can think of something that would be funny and then you actually take the steps to do it, often in life that was like a million times more funny than just sit around kind of hypothetically thinking of funny things to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I certainly think that too. A lot of people can be funny, and they just don't know it, and they don't believe in themselves or have potential to, try to make a career out of that.
Right. Well, one thing about our show is that I think the majority of the people on our show were friends, but other people we've met either through Craigslist or friends of friends, and that the whole thing was really loosely scripted. In fact, she and I would often have a way that we thought it would be funny if certain lines were said, and we may give people really specific guidelines of like, oh, say it like this, and then we give them a loose idea of what would happen in a scene, and then most of it was just kind of loosely improv too, and we were just giving people a chance to relax and just be funny, and some of the stuff people came up with like in the moment on camera was really great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did a little bit of improv when I was in high school. I've been doing stand-up comedy for 12 years.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's really cool, I think. So, where did the idea come from behind Fantasy Bedtime Hour?
All right. Well, when I first moved to San Francisco in 1999, I stayed with Julie for about a month. And so at night, when she was going to bed, like she'd read something, I'd read something, and one night I'm like, well, what are you reading? And she happened to be reading Lord Balbane. And she's like, well, here, let me read some to you. And she was almost toward the end. And I would have to stop and ask her questions like, okay, what's a blood guard? And she'd answer. And then every once in a while I'd be like, okay, what's a foam follower? And she'd have to answer. And then she'd be like, here, you read some of it to me. And so we would take turns reading pieces. And there was one moment where it really clicked, where Stephen R. Donaldson took about a half a page to describe the exact order that each of the characters were going into. Like, we called it Mount Sundar, but each of the characters were going in. And then a few pages later, I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Like, why did the author, why did he take so much time just to describe the exact order of who went in the cave first, and who went in the cave second, and who went in third? And Julie's like, yeah. She's like, well, I don't even know if I remember, like, who went in the cave first? I'm like, well, I think it was this order. And she's like, well, I think it was that order. And then we were cracking each other up, and we're thinking, God, wouldn't this be funny if we just filmed this? Where we're talking about pieces of the book, and we might have to have an expert come on the show to settle disputes and say who was right, and maybe we'd have to draw a chart or something to write out the order of who went in the cave. And so that's when it was really born. And then we spent a few more nights talking about it and laughing about it. And then we put it on the back burner for, I think, a good couple of years. But every once in a while, we would talk about it again. Mm-hmm. And then I really got to give Julie credit for this, where she was like, you know what? We should just do it. We should just stop talking about doing it, and we should just do it. And that's when we had to borrow cameras in the beginning. Mm-hmm. And so Julie's cousin Steve, he had a camera we could use, so that's why we called him Cameraman Steve, and we asked him to be Thomas Covenant.
Right.
And he didn't know, and we didn't even know, that he would be accepting a role that would take about 4 or 5 years to complete. So wow. That's about how long we worked on the show. But in the beginning, it was a huge learning curve, and piece by piece, it just fell into place.
Wow, it's amazing how an obscure book can carve out inspiration and creativity. Crazy.
Yeah, and it's been really sweet in the way that we've had some fans contact us over the years, people who had never read the book before but came across our show, and people who were huge fans and still came across our show and wanted to be on it. I think a couple of our more interesting guests were a man proposed to his girlfriend on our show. and we came out from New York to be on vacation, and we had to turn our bed sideways to fit them both in the bed.
That's funny.
Yeah, but that was really sweet. And he was so nervous, and he proposed with a white gold ring, which has significance in the story. And then when he first asked her to marry him, he kind of went off for a little while on the metaphorical value of the white gold as it related to the book. And then we had to be like, well, wait, she hasn't answered yet. And then she finally said yes. So it was really sweet.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's kind of like when Tiny Tim got married on the Johnny Carson show back in the 60s.
Oh.
Same type of deal. So you guys at first shot it independently, and then Channel 29 picked it up?
Yeah. When we first decided to film it, we knew that we were going to put it on cable access.
Mm-hmm.
If we were going to, because it was a labor of love. If it took that much time, to coordinate the people and get it all together, we knew that we wanted to do at least 6 episodes and then just reevaluate and see. So in the very beginning, Julie and I were very ambitious and did about an episode a month.
Yeah.
And then that way we knew that if we needed a little more time, we could do a repeat. And the cable channel really liked us because we were self-sufficient. We filmed on our own. We edited it on our own. The first, I think, 6 episodes were done with iMovie before we moved to Final Cut Pro.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just dropped them off a finished product. So we didn't actually need to use a lot of their resources. So they really appreciated that.
Wow, that's awesome.
Wow. Yeah. And one of the things that was also really helpful is after a while, our good friend Jen from college, she moved out to San Francisco to be with us too, and then she kind of took over the camera role. That's why we also had a cameraman, Jen, and she was one of our experts on our show. She actually got to be on our show, but then she transitioned into being a cameraman, which kind of freed Steve's schedule up. So she gave a lot of good input. And then also our good friend Terry, whose kind of actor name was Karateka, she played Atrium, and she had a lot of funny ideas too. And I think one of my favorite pieces is when we had to introduce the Ranninan, the horses that would choose their riders.
Right.
And Jen designed these horse costumes, and we had to get people in them. And that was also just one of my favorite scenes, was being on the grass and filming up the hill and just having people in these horse costumes like running over the hill. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we had a lot of good help along the way.
That's good. Yeah, I forget, what year did it premiere?
God, that's a good question. I think maybe 2002.
Yeah, that's about right, because I graduated from high school in 2001, and I watched a lot of cable access in the Bay Area. Yeah, I'm born and raised in San Mateo, and I watched cable access until like 6 a.m., for 5 years during that period.
Yeah, we chose that time slot really carefully because we thought, some people were treating Thursdays like the new Fridays. Like, some people would go out, maybe go to a bar, come home, and maybe want to watch a little bit of TV before going to bed. Right. And we knew our show would catch attention because, at a glance it looks like 2 girls in bed, but then we're just reading and discussing this book. But we thought people would stop just to see what these 2 girls in bed are talking about.
Yeah, I remember the first time I saw it, I turned on the TV, and I'm like, wow, my 2 favorite type of women are in bed naked together. What's this about? And I didn't understand the whole thing with the book, but I fell in love with all the horror and sci-fi sketches you would do,
Oh, yeah, that was actually one of the neatest parts of the show is that, for the most of it was her and I in bed, and then we decided to call a certain segment our fantasy action sequence.
Yeah.
Which was when we had all our friends and people off Craigslist dress up and act out our interpretation of the book. And so anytime we could perhaps misunderstand something or take something literal, like when Peter and Donaldson was talking about this monster called the Waynan, not really a monster, but a creature of the land who could stand on all 4s or run erect.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a good time with that one. We had a really good time with that one. And Jen helped design the creature for that. She made it out of like pantyhose and stuffing, and she made like a penis for it, and we kept being like, bigger. She had to make like 4 or 5 penises where we're like, bigger, until it was like a foot and a half long, and then we're like, all right. So that's how we ran with that, and then we filmed it near the golf course in San Francisco, and it was a prop just laying there next to the trail, and at one point these older women came by just on a hike, and they looked at it, and they looked at us, and they looked at us, and then we thought, oh, maybe just to make some little ladies comfortable, maybe we should cover up the penis part until we're ready to actually use the prop. But yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, I'm a horror and sci-fi nerd, and this show that we're doing right now started out as primarily horror and sci-fi themed. I'm interviewing, horror and science fiction movie stars that I meet at conventions and stuff. And now I've expanded it. I interview comedians and just all types of cult figures for that matter and stuff. I go through periods where like I run out of guests and I'm like, God, who can I interview next? And then I happen to be reading a thing about cable access on Wikipedia, and you guys were on there, and I was like, oh God, I forgot all about them. Yeah, I should reach out to them.
Yeah, that's so great. Yeah, we ended up kind of running out of friends too after a while. Like for example, there was a part where we were going to meet the Woodhelven, and for some reason I think Julie and I decided they were gay because we tore pictures out of magazines that just happened to be like male-looking supermodels, and that's kind of how they became gay. But we needed some people, and so our friend Trajit was a physicist, and he knew all these like physicist science type guys, and we're like, okay, just bring them to the golf course. And then when they got there, then we were like, okay, you guys are gay elves, and then we put a bunch of costumes on them, and we were really lucky that they were just game. They were just ready to play with the feather boas. So sometimes it was through the grace of friends helping out. We eventually had to put an ad on Craigslist, and then we found a couple of interesting people. One of them who played our main blood guard, his name was Jose, and he did a lot of extra work in things like Nash Bridges, and he was like a real actor. He's kind of an extra. He had to play like a gang member, and we were like, okay, this is really cool. We can't pay you. He's like, it's all right. So he would show up, and then there was the other guy, Kim, who played Lord Crowfall. He brought headshots and everything to the interview. Yeah. And again, we're like, we can't pay you, because we were just literally doing it as a labor of love. But Kim kept showing up, and then our friend Nicholas was actually a professional opera singer, and we thought, oh, he's great. He's all trained. Let's give him a big role. Let's give him Lord Fowl. And it turned out that Lord Fowl was only pretty much there in the very beginning and the very end. So we actually didn't need him that much.
Mm-hmm.
But that was cool. And then we had our friend Arthur playing like the old wizard, and he was classically trained in theater as well. But most people, like Lord Mormon, our friend Seth, just was just a good friend. But like I said, you put them on something and you don't have a chance, but come up with some really fun stuff.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you don't mind disclosing this secret, what did you two wear under the sheets?
You know what? We never told. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure I should tell now.
I mean,
I will confirm that sometimes we were indeed naked. I will confirm that.
Nice. Awesome. That's so cool. Now, you all did rehearse before filming and write the episodes. Like, how long would that process be?
Actually, there was no rehearsal, but I can explain our process. So, since Julie had read most of the book, and I never read the book, I never really read ahead. I've only experienced the book as Julie gave it to me. So she would read ahead and sometimes skip anywhere from a few pages to 30 or 40 pages, and she'd pick a good part for us to do. And then she would give me the book, and I would take about an hour, maybe an hour and a half in the margin. And this is because we experimented with reading it straight out, and it just took so long, and it just wasn't the right way to do it. And so that's why I would paraphrase. And then when I was ready, we would shoot that scene, like that intro. But she always did the intro. Then I always read an excerpt, and then she and I would always discuss what we thought was happening. We'd always keep that kind of short. And then we'd be like, let's watch. And then we would transition to the fantasy action sequence, which is something we would film separately. And usually outdoors. And then we would put that in. And then by the time we were done with the fantasy action sequence, the next piece would be we would have invited someone over to be an expert. We always put them in the same ochre-colored blazer. It's kind of a, like a kind of a connection to the book where there was a man in an ochre robe in the book. So we'd always put the expert in this blazer and put him in between us. Yeah. Women usually just wore their bra and a blazer, so that was kind of fun whenever we had a women expert. And then we would ask them our questions, and then we would sometimes have a chart. There would always be an opportunity to draw or experiencing something through art. So we would draw, and then we would show each other our drawings, and at the very end, we would reminisce. Then we play this kind of like, basically like porn music in the background. And we all cuddle up in bed, and then we would just like reminisce about what our favorite part of the episode was. And that was a standard formula. So we did that for almost every single episode.
Yeah. It was pretty cool. I just love how you guys had everything like structured, from the intro to, chapter in the book, the sketch fantasy, having the guest in between you, and then the end,
Yeah, and then every once in a while, so Ty was our first expert, and he became, it's just a good friend, and he was dating Julie at the time. He was a good friend, and he became like our resident expert. So sometimes when we didn't have anybody or we needed a recap show, he'd come and do a big recap for us, and that was really cool. And then we put him in eyeliner because we thought he needed a little makeup to show up on that first episode. But when we saw the footage later, we realized that our experts really don't need eyeliner or makeup or anything. But that was just a little side note. So yeah, that first episode, huge learning curve, and then it just got easier and easier. But we knew we were onto something with that specific formula, and that's why we kept it.
You guys certainly did good with that, I have to say. It was good. It was good timing, good instincts on that.
Yeah.
So when go ahead. Oh no, you go ahead.
I was want to know if you wanted to just find out what it was like to meet Stephen R. Donaldson and our connection with him.
Oh yeah. How long was it before Stephen Donaldson was aware of you two?
Okay, great question. It was a good year and a half or almost 2 years. In the beginning, I knew it was clear that someday we would meet him and that he might come on our show at the very end. Yeah. I had that vision from the very beginning. But we also, having no idea of, who he was or his sense of humor, we didn't know if he would serve us with any kind of cease and desist order or if he would be entertained or engaged by our show.
Right.
And so that's why we didn't reach out to him right away. But it turned out that the person in charge of his webpage had discovered us, told him about it, and then that guy reached out to us and said he's doing a book signing in California. So Julie and Jen and a bunch of our other characters went meet him and present him with some DVDs of our episodes so far, and he was really honored, and it was so cool, and he just had the best sense of humor, and so he watched the show. He couldn't believe that we were doing such an in-depth job of just this one book, but he was honored, and he agreed to come out, and he was an expert on one of our shows. We actually dressed him up in a wig and pretended he was Ty's father. And we just called him Higgins because he didn't want to wait until the very final episode because he was already interested. So why not have some fun with that? So it turned out that, again, later, at the very end of all this, he came out and we got to interview him in bed for like an entire hour. And he even that he got to participate in one of the last sequences.
Oh, that's so cool. Is he a San Francisco guy?
No, he is more like Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Oh, so he flew down to San Francisco a couple times then.
Yeah, so we were really honored by that.
Wow. Oh my God, that's so awesome. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I've heard some examples of people, satirizing other people's work, and they've been, pretty pleased with that. I've never really heard of anybody being displeased with the satire of their work and stuff. I guess when it's done really, really right, you hear about it and you hear about the praise from that person.
Yeah. Well, it turns out some of his other friends who were authors had also heard about the show, and I actually think they were a little bit jealous that his fan base was really going through, a lot of effort to have a lot of fun with one of his books. And it was just like, they kind of gave him like instant street cred at the different conventions that writers go to.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was really fun for him. And Jen actually got to go to one of the conventions with him, and she became a reader for him. So in his newer work, sometimes the author will have different readers read it first, give them some feedback before it goes to final publication. And that was really cool because then Jen had actual real power in the land.
Mm-hmm.
She could actually influence events.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. So when Channel 29 picked you guys up, was there any notes or censorship issues?
No, none.
Wow.
So that was great.
Wow.
Yeah, we never heard a peep from any of that.
Yeah, because I remember watching, and there's a particular one that I just love. I still love. There's one where you two had a guy between you, and Julie put her finger to his nose after touching her ass. Yeah, love that.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Sometimes we still just reminisce about some of the best times.
Yeah, you two were like two tomboys with no shame. I loved it.
Yeah, in a way I felt like we were playing facets of our personality.
Yeah.
We would, because the idea was if you could take it literal and run with it, we would. We were bubbly. Sometimes Julie could just get really, really serious. I think one of our favorite parts is if we have an opposing opinion about something,
Yeah.
and we'd get the expert in the middle of us, and then I'd say my thing and she'd say her thing, and we'd be like, who's right? Who's right? And we'd both be saying at the same time, who's right? Who's right? Who's right? And it would just put them so on the spot, and then they would eventually have to just choose one of us. And then whoever won basically got to tell the other one, in your face. So it would be like, in your face, Julie, in your face. Or she'd be like, in your face, Heatherly. That was just part of the charisma and fun of the show.
Yeah. So how did you manage to use popular music on the show?
Oh, well, because we, maybe a different time, I don't think that with that. On cable access to YouTube, so I know there's copyright issues about using other people's music on YouTube. And
Yeah.
we never accepted money. We never made any money off the show.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of gave us the freedom to do what we wanted.
Yeah, because, I mean, What's Going On is a very popular song, no matter who sings it,
Exactly. And so we thought What's Going On was appropriate as a theme song because the whole concept was two girls in bed, ill-equipped to handle fantasy novel concepts, read and discuss Lord Fal's Bane. So the What's Going On just seemed like very, very appropriate.
Yeah. So when you accept money, then you have to pay for copyrighted music.
I think so. I'm not even sure how that all works. I just know that we didn't put it on YouTube and we never accepted any money. So, it was just like a fan art, labor of love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I'm trying to do my own show, whether it's cable access or on the internet. I want to do a late night horror movie show because it's starting to get a resurgence, and I'm thinking about music. If I actually do make it and stuff, and I don't want to get sued. If I don't have any money coming in.
Right, right. Well, I would just check out different online forums and seeing how other people are doing it. And just to be on the safe side, you can always start production, but just not use any like official music. Or find out if you might be able to use a certain amount of seconds of footage or a certain amount of seconds of music without it being an issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could do that. So, how many episodes were there?
30, I believe.
30 episodes.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the really fun things was there was a independent video store called Le Vid in San Francisco that actually had a section of local artists. And so people could actually rent our DVDs for free. Again, nobody was profiting off of anything. They could rent for free our Fantasy Bedtime Hour and just return the videos to the video store. That was that was an honor. That was really fun.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so I lost touch with the show after 2006 because I left the Bay Area for a short time, and then when I came back, I had no time for TV. I was like out every night. I was working as a bouncer in a bar, or I was doing stand-up comedy at that time. Have you guys ever thought about reviving it for streaming, or maybe doing a stage play version of it?
Actually, Julie recently put some good attention on reformatting the footage to make it easier to stream. I would recommend checking out our website, which is thefantasybedtimehour.com, and I think you can catch up on those episodes.
Oh yeah, that would be great. But
yeah, I don't think we've thought about doing any theater productions, but yeah, I think you could get caught up.
Mm-hmm. But you never thought about like reviving it for like streaming, like doing new episodes?
No, we haven't because in a way, people have kind of moved on. Some people have moved out of the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Like Nicholas is off doing his opera career, and Jen moved to a different state, and so sometimes that might be hard to pull all the people and all the resources together.
Mm-hmm. You guys never like try to get like a major cable channel or something to like pick it up and like turn it into an international phenomenon?
Oh, HBO show Real Sex did contact us, and we sent them a few episodes, but I think that they were thinking maybe it would be more sexy than it was.
Yeah.
It was more, focused on the book than what they were expecting, but that was kind of exciting. And then one time, some people contacted us because they wanted to buy our domain, the Fantasy Bedtime Hour, and we said, okay, for $100,000, because that's what it was worth to us, because we put our hearts and souls into this show, so we weren't going to let it go for just anything, and then they never contacted us again.
Well, my best advice, you ever get put in that situation again, always, if they turn down the $100,000, say, okay, I'm going to take the $200,000 that Showtime offered to us earlier today.
Totally.
That might have worked. So was the last episode emotional for you guys?
Yes, but in a good way. We had, of course we were kind of going to miss doing the project, but when you do something, I honestly think it was about 4.5, almost 5 years off and on. When you give something that much of your attention, sometimes you do look forward to the completion of it so that you can go put your attention on other things as well. Mm-hmm.
But like when you guys did the last episode, was there any tears shed?
No, because Stephen R. Donaldson was there, and I think we were just so excited to have him around. Mm-hmm. That's why I think it was more of a joyful experience.
But did you know it was the last episode?
Yeah, we knew, and that's why we had him fly out, so we could film the action sequence and his hour-long interview all in the same weekend. For toward the end, like when they got into the cave, we actually built the cave in our basement. We lived in a house with a kind of a basement garage type area,
Mm-hmm.
and a little bit of spray paint here or there. And on camera, we thought it looked pretty good. So toward the end, it was a lot of scenes being filmed in the cave. It was pretty easy to film toward the end.
Mm-hmm. Did Channel 29 have anything to do with the show ending?
No, that was just the arc.
I forget, is Channel 29 still around?
I think so. I moved more down to the South Bay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure it's around. Oh, another fun thing is we actually got to be on cable access in about 6 or 7 other states as well, because other cable access companies, if they didn't quite have enough content, sometimes they would reach out and find out like what was popular in the bigger cities.
Yeah.
So our entire series ran in about 6 or 7 other states, multiple cities. So that was really fun.
Nice. How often did you two get recognized on the street?
It would happen, I'd say at least maybe 2 or 3 times a year. Sometimes I would be walking into a restaurant and I would get, "Hey, aren't you that girl?" That my favorite one was when this woman, Amy, recognized me on the bus on the N line.
Mm-hmm.
And her husband, Merle, they actually liked our show. They actually came on and became really, really good friends and experts on our show as well. But she looked at me on the bus and she was like, oh my God, you're from that show." And then all everyone around me started looking at me. And then I had to be like, "Fantasy Bedtime Hour?" She's like, "Yeah." And she was so excited. And she said, "Yes, I have everybody in my office calling each other dotard." And so that was really sweet.
Mm-hmm. So do you still get recognized, though?
Not lately, but every once in a while, because our Fantasy Bedtime Hour at hotmail.com is still an active account. Every once in a while, we still get emailed.
Mm-hmm.
Which is nice.
Oh, yeah. It's good to know you two have longevity and stuff. So what are you up to now?
Oh, well, right now I do a couple things. I do massage therapy. I also do some neurolinguistic programming and a little bit of hypnotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
So I help people, like if they're missing something, there's something they want, but they're feeling a little stuck. I just help them, figure out which resources or what's missing so they can better get what they want. It's really rewarding.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
And then Julie's in the IT field, and Jen is amazing. She's been in the auto industry for a long time, so she does, I guess they call it a writer, where if she's like the interface. If people's car breaks down, they have trouble, she'll explain it to them, like what needs to happen and help get the parts and kind of orchestrate that. And she's really smart, and that's kind of fun because, some people don't expect a woman to be like that good at that kind of job, and she's great at it. So she's in that industry.
Oh, that's cool. And you're still in the Bay Area, but you're in the East Bay, you said?
Oh, I said South Bay.
Oh, South Bay, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I moved to Reading a year ago because my mom, she needed help paying the rent, and I was just getting so sick of the Bay Area because it's become this tech industry town, and it's not recognizable to me anymore.
Yeah, it's changed even within the last 4 or 5 years. A lot more traffic, and a lot of people are starting to bail.
Yeah, everybody I grew up with, only a small percent of them are left there, and all of them moved to the Midwest.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. All moved to the Midwest, and they just don't. A lot of them, after high school, they immediately left and never came back because they predicted that it was going to get crazy. I don't know how they knew it, but they did. But
yeah.
But I come down every once in a while to do comedy gigs and stuff.
Well, that's great. Well, you'll have to let me know.
Absolutely, I'm going to be coming down pretty soon, next few weeks maybe, or this summer to do an improv class that I want to take and stuff. but I would like to meet you and everything. Do you ever come down to the peninsula?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay, I'll let you know when I come down and stuff, and how long I'm going to be there and everything. That would be great.
Okay, and I'll reach out to the rest of the FBH gang that's in the area.
Yes.
Yeah, we still hang out because, like I said, Steve is Julie's cousin, and but yeah, a bunch of us still see each other and hang out. So
that's great. Yeah, because I'm a huge fan, and I thank you so much, Heatherly, for taking the time today. I've enjoyed talking to you.
Oh, thank you. Can I mention one other person real quick?
Go ahead.
Okay, because it was such an awesome group effort, and we really couldn't have done it without everybody showing up. And one of the things I want to say is John, who played our giant home follower, he did such a good job of being annoying. And that, because when we first started filming, like I wasn't there to film that actual action sequence, but I was there to edit the footage, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is so annoying. And Julie could see the humor in that before I could, and she's like, no, it's great. And then within a couple of episodes, his annoyingness became endearing, and I think it was just such a funny part of the show was him going off on these weird tangents and just giving such an intense personality to film followers. So I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, he was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Can I add you as a friend on Facebook?
Sure, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Heatherly, and you have yourself a good night.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Heatherly Stankey. Ain't she a sweetheart? Thank you so much, Heatherly. I'm so glad that we got to have this conversation, talk about the world of cable access and stuff. If those of you who have not seen Fantasy Bedtime Hour, check it out. It is the funniest shit ever. You will fucking love it. So, if you like this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Later, dudes.